Hi, how's it going? This is Resident of Colin for YouTube. Back with another movie review for you guys and girls. I'm here to review Godzilla Minus One, which is available on Netflix. Um, this movie does a lot of good things. Now, is this a remake? Yeah, I mean, in a lot of ways, it is a remake of the original Godzilla in the 1980s Godzilla movie that you see. But I think where it's a lot that with those movies that in the original Godzilla that the reason Godzilla exists is because of the use of the atomic bomb, um, from H bomb experiments, as they say in the original movie, and in the 1980s movie, Godzilla like comes out of this like volcano or whatever. He also goes into a volcano too, and just or comes out of this mountain and starts destroying Tokyo. There's not much of a plot to that one. This has a plot, and it does a really good job of executing it. Um, there is some historical preference, and there is some historical stuff in this movie. Um, it's about a World War II kamikaze Japanese pilot who lands at Odo Island uh, which was a secret airfield for repairing Japanese planes or kamikaze planes. Um, Now, this movie, it's keeps saying about this guy's war, people's war not being over. That their war isn't over. And really, I before I get into this movie, there is some historical sort of reference going on here. It's not for nothing. Now, in Japan, and I want to make this very clear that there was a Japanese soldier named Hiro Anada, and he was a second lieutenant in the Imperial Japanese Army. And during World War II, and one of the last Japanese holdouts who continued fighting after the war's end in 1945. For almost 29 years, Onada carried out guerrilla warfare on Lubin Island in the Philippines on several occasions, engaging in shootouts with locals and the police. Ondu initially held out with soldiers who surrendered in 1950, and the two were killed. The two who and it and two who were killed in 1954 and 1970 was contacted in 1974 but refused to surrender until he was relieved by the relieved off duty by his former commanding officer, Major Yashima Yingushi, uh, who was flown to Libya. Onada surrendered on March 10th, 1974, and received a hero's welcome in Japan. So that's what I mean by a Japanese soldier's war not being over. That there's some historical preference they're taking there. That's something that actually happened, where a Japanese soldier didn't know the war had ended. He wouldn't surrender until his commanding officer came and told him. Uh, that not that that happens here. I want to be clear. Not that that happens in this movie, but a lot of things happen in this movie. The kamikaze pilot. He's too scared. It's almost like he has nothing to. What he felt he was fighting for was just like this lost cause. And he's on Odo Island, and all of a sudden it's nighttime, and they tell him, you should have died with honor and stuff. And Godzilla comes in. He's not that big, but he's big enough to like tear apart their little base that they have there. And the kamikaze pilot, he survives. Well, he goes there to somewhere else, and the one girl who smacks him calls him a coward for not dying with honor and stuff. And he keeps. I love how what this movie does most is the character who's the Cosmikaze pilot. He thinks about, is Godzilla sort of this hell that now follows him because he didn't do the right thing, because he didn't die with honor. And he says, is this hell? Am I already dead? He wakes up saying that. I think the psychology of this movie is really, really good. I think from a psychological standpoint, this is where this movie hits a lot of good points. And so you have a lot of people on this who are on this one island of Japan, uh, who are very poor, of Tokyo, if you will. They're very poor. Uh, they're not financially well off. None of them are, because again, you're going after World War II. And this guy, by the way, this Kamikaze pilot, he was given this baby that this other woman had, and he chose to take care of this baby. Him and this one woman who he met, and he slowly started falling in love with this woman because she was so beautiful. And there's this job that the government's paying for to deactivate, to like take out mines that were left by the old Japanese Navy and the U.S. Navy and stuff like that. So they make these special ships, as they call them. They're not that special. They even point that out in the movie, and I like that. They go out and they shoot the mines with the gun and blow them up. And the guy, him being a gunner on a pilot, he gets to use the gunner. And then that's when they come out and they see this destroyed ship. Oh, by the way, I also like the scene where he dreams of Godzilla coming onto where he's at, and he's scared and stuff. Um, but by all this time that's passed, Godzilla's a lot bigger. And while they're out to sea, they see this ship that's just torn to pieces. This large ship, and they say about Godzilla. They say about they've come out here. The bombs aren't the real reason they're out here. There's another reason they were sent out here, and it's Godzilla. And they run into Godzilla, and he's so large and terrifying. I think from an effects standpoint, the film blows you away. They do a really good job. I have nothing to. I don't have a lot to complain about this movie. I have one, and it's not really a big deal. Um, Godzilla's atomic breath is just menacing in this. I Now I don't know if they're going to have other kaiju monsters in any of this stories later. Like if they do a sequel to this, obviously, because trust me, spoiler alert, there's going to be a sequel. Godzilla, because Godzilla can regenerate in this. Like he can self-regenerate, which is holy shit. It was like creepy to see in this movie. Ugh. There's a scene where Godzilla comes to Tokyo, obviously, and he starts tearing it apart, obviously, and he uses the atomic breath, and like there's a big mushroom cloud, and there's the wind, and it takes the one girl that the Cosmikaze pilot is in love with off her feet, and nobody can find anybody, including her. So he assumes she's dead, and Godzilla's the cause of it, and this is what causes him to, okay, I found something I wanted to fight for and die for, and it was that woman. It's how much he loved her, and to him, this is his war. This is something he has to finish, and I think that's something they get across really well. I'll do some spoilers, so if you don't want to hear it, please don't continue listening. The woman is actually still alive, and they find that out by the end of the movie after Godzilla. The guy flies the plane into Godzilla's mouth as he's trying to do the atomic breath, and it blows up and it blows Godzilla's head apart, um, causing him to fall to the bottom of the ocean. But don't worry, he's going to regenerate. He's going to start regenerating. That's what they show you, and you see he find he there's this other woman who receives a letter that she's alive, and he's she tells him, Kamikaze pilot who parachuted out, because the one guy who built the plane, he said, I put in an ejection seat. I want you to live. I think that's one of the most powerful scenes in the movie. He does live, and he finds the girl who he thought was dead in the hospital. Her face is bandaged up, and she says, "Is your war over?" And he says, "Yes." He's crying. He's on his knees. I mean, it's a good movie. I mean, it's solid 10. They do a really good job from a psychological standpoint of building the story. Um, did they make Godzilla scary? I mean, to me, here's the thing. This is not Godzilla's first antagonist role ever. I think where they made him sort of scary is him actually eating the people. Like, that was like, because I had never seen him do that like that. I had seen him put stuff in his mouth, but not people. So um, that was sort of like jarring for me, even though, it's not real. Um, I found that interesting. Now, I don't know what they're going to do with a sequel, so hopefully they'll do one. I mean, because this movie was entertaining from start to finish, and if my wife's out there, no, do not watch this review. All right, guys, you have a good one and take care.